In the book written by Rabbi Ephraim, the new book that BeEzrat HaShem will be released in these coming months, as it's being printed as we speak, in Parashat Tzav, Rabbi Ephraim tells us that this parasha, like the rest of Sefer Vayikra, the book of Leviticus, is full of laws, more laws than any of the other parts of the Torah. And this parasha starts off with the Korbanot, the sacrifices. And one of them that is particularly of interest is the fact that there's Korban Todah. Korban Todah. What's Korban Todah? The Korban that is to say thank you to God. And this Korban is different than the rest of the Korbanot, even the ones that are similar to it. It has different rules. There's a lot more food, where part of the Korban is burned, part of it is eaten. But there's also 40 chalot, 4 of which are given to the Kohen, 36 are distributed, and it has to be eaten in a shorter period of time, where usually this whole, the other Korbanot, you have a couple of days to do it. Here you only have a day. There's some interesting rules here. But the Midrash Bubel, Midrash Agada Bubel, in Parashat Tzav, in Perek Zayin, the 7th Perek, 7th chapter, in Siman Yudbet 12, says, En chashuv lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu yoter min ha'odaya. There is nothing more important to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, nothing more important to Hashem than gratitude. Now this is not because we help Hashem in any way by saying thank you to Him, but rather this is a test of our character, of where we stand. And Hashem says that this Korban Todah is saying thank you. And therefore, the Chachamim teach us that this Korban Todah is God's favorite Korban. Now, when would this Korban typically be done? There's a verse. There's a verse in Tehillim where David HaMelech says, V'kol ha'chaim yaducha sela. V'kol ha'chaim yaducha sela says, meaning that all of the living will thank you forever. This is one of the things that David HaMelech tells us, but it has the hint. This chaim, the word chaim, has the hint of when this gratitude is going to be given. The chet, as our Ephraim brings over here, is standing for chavush bebet ha'isurim, someone that was in jail and now he's out of jail. He has to bring a korban to say thank you to God. The yud, isurim, someone that is sick, bedridden, in a hospital, and now is healed, has to bring a korban todah. Yam, someone that has traveled through the ocean, which is very dangerous even till this day, but certainly was much more dangerous in the past. Someone that has survived a journey through the ocean has to bring korban todah. Mem, midbar, someone that has successfully traveled through the desert, through the midbar, also has to bring korban todah, and this is all halacha in Shulchan Aruch, Orach Chaim in Siman 219. Halacha number 4. So here, the Torah tells us that there are special times where somebody has to bring korban todah, but this also is because in each one of these circumstances, there's a, more or less, a open miracle. Someone that had their life at risk from a journey in the ocean, in the desert, they were on their deathbed practically, or very, very sick to the point where they could have died. So they have to bring korban todah. Now, interestingly enough, the one thing that we see is that this korban has different rules, where there's a lot more food to be eaten as part of the sacrifice in less time. And the Abarbanel lived about 500 years ago, Rabbi Abarbanel, He was not only one of the Gdolei Ador, but also the chief treasurer of the government for the King Fernando in Spain, until the Spanish Inquisition, where the Queen Isabella, Imach Shima V'Zichra, convinced Fernando to kick out all of the Jews. But since the Abarbanel was such a genius, not just in Torah but in finances, and helped Spain become literally the leading country in the world, they tried to convince the Abarbanel to stay. And they were even willing to allow 10 Jewish families to stay with him so he could pray with the minyan every day. But the Abarbanel, of course, did not agree, and left everything behind, and left Spain, and along with the Jews that survived this entire disaster. And he actually became the treasurer in Portugal. We see from here that obviously HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted him to be successful, and it didn't matter where he was. Either way, the Abarbanel, who wrote extraordinary commentary on the Torah, he says that one of the things that we've noticed, that there is this particular Korban, is more food in less time. And if you don't eat, whatever you don't eat in time, you have to burn. You can't keep it for the next day. He says the reason why is because the whole purpose of this Korban is to publicize God's glory, publicize God's name, publicize God's omnipotence, God's mercy, publicize God's name. And if a person has all the time in the world to eat this korbanot, then a person could be, selfish and simply keep it for him and his immediate family, only the people that he really, really loves and really, really likes, and that's it. And so therefore the publicity of God's name and the miracle that just happened is limited. But since there's less time, and since there's more food, and anything you don't eat within that day has to be burned, and if you end up pretty much not finishing and there's a lot to burn, this will become a public embarrassment. People will say, wait a minute, why are you burning all this food? Why are you destroying it? Oh, you had a miracle? Why didn't you invite us? And everyone's going to find out you're stingy Stan. They're going to find out you're nasty. They're going to find out you are selfish. So the Abarbanel says the whole purpose behind this entire thing is to make sure that you invite as many people as possible and be forced to invite as many people as possible to publicize the miracle. Because gratitude is of utmost importance in the eyes of God. There's a lot of really cool stuff on our websites, new features, and a lot more projects that are on the way that BeEzrat HaShem will help Am Yisrael get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to publicize HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name, and know that He is the one and only God,